Sif's blood. Barely survived that encounter. I'll bring you a new transmission. Vode An.
Sucuy'gar, everyone. Welcome back to Vode An, the series where Tidus, Ken, and myself go through not the entire, but most of the Clone Wars era in chronological order. And today we are reviewing three stories. So the first one is the Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett, the Fight to Survive.
Fight to survive. Fight to survive.
Yeah, the first Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
We also read two fairly lengthy short stories from Star Wars Insider. So the first one is Death in the Catacombs by Mike W. Barr from Star Wars Insider 79.
Yep.
And the second one is Ellusion by Michael Stackpole from Star Wars Insider 66.
Yep.
So we're going to review them in that order. So we're going to start with the young adult Boba Fett book, Fight to Survive. This is written by Terry Bison. That is a woman, by the way, if you were confused. So this book, as the title suggests, follows Boba Fett, a young Boba Fett, throughout. The vast majority of the book takes place during Attack of the Clones. You're really seeing his perspective and his point of view on what's going on during that film. And the end of it is immediately afterwards, the aftermath of the film, of course, from Boba's perspective, young Boba Fett. The book was okay. I mean, it wasn't anything, grand. It was, it's a children's book. But I think the biggest criticism, I know Tidus feels this way. I don't know how Ken feels. I think Ken feels the same way, but the prose is written too childish. It's almost like the book was written for like toddlers if they could read. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but
Yep.
It was too childish. It made you just want to like laugh. I mean, it kind of felt like Bison was treating the audience like they're dumb. I mean, they're kids, they're children, but they're not dumb. They're not stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of questionable at times.
Or at least for children are not stupid. I guess inherently, I should say. But
she thinks that like her audience are. I was just gonna say she thinks like her audience are children, but like they're the crayon eating type of children. They're stupid.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
Yeah, it was. And one of the reasons why I think I especially felt this way was, I mean, I've read Junior Jedi Knights. Tidus, he hasn't, but
I have.
Ken has. That series is not written like this. It's of course written in with prose that's a young child is able to understand, but it's not written like they're stupid or just childish. And here's what we mean. We mean like sometimes there was an excessive use of like onomatopoeias at times, like all caps say boom.
Yeah.
Or
parentheses, because it's like she'll paint a scene, but then she'll double down to explain like, oh, this is like what's really happening, like for real on God this time. It's like you don't have to do that, because once you explain it once, you should trust your audience understands it the first time. Like that's kind of where it's like the thing of like when you write this, because even Jedi Apprentice, I haven't read Young Jedi Knights like you said, but from Jedi Apprentice, it's like they don't do that, where they don't double down, they don't doubt the credibility, or not credibility, what's the word? They don't doubt the ability of a child to understand a piece of media. It's kind of like Alan Moore's approach to comic books. That's I'm not going to get too deep into that, but the crux of it is that Alan Moore, he wrote stories in his mind, comics for kids, but he didn't mean it in a condemning way. He meant that like kids should be able to given the ability or like given the benefit of the doubt to understand something, so you don't have to like repeat yourself in explaining something to them, you know. But
Yeah.
that's kind of where Terry
Yep.
Bison falls on. It was like she has to reiterate herself at a bunch of points in this book. It's like, did you get it this time? Did you get it? Huh? Huh? He key jangling, key jangling.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying at first. So I wanted to rip my hair out. Just over explanation after over explanation, making me crazy.
Yeah, and I think I could kind of hear like someone might say to respond like, well, it's meant for children though, and it's like I mean, yeah, we get that, but I think what people also forget is these books, yeah, they're young adult books, but clearly adults are reading them. You have three grown ass men reading these books. They're also meant for older people. So there's kind of like a fine line that I think when you write young adult stuff or children's stuff for that matter, that you have to even and it's not like they don't do that anymore in new canon. I mean, hello, you have these children's books for High Republic being read, um, and other eras. I say the High Republic is the first thing that came to my mind, but you know, you need to write it, you know, pandering to children, but also where an older person is not going to sit there and be like, "This is the most cringe, stupid stuff I've ever read." Um, now in terms of the content, I mean, do you guys have anything else to add in terms of the prose?
I was just gonna say that like don't like just you gotta there's a balance here. Sure, the intended audience is children, but you have to make it palatable. Can't make it like overly simple, and that's kind of what this book is overly
Yes.
simple.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
Well,
I was gonna give my thoughts about the pros. Because I mean, like Ken is saying, you can't make it overly simple because it's like I don't know if you guys know about this, but like, do you know about the picture books, like the episode one picture books? It's like little silly zany adventures of characters from Phantom Menace, but it's like five, like one sentence per page, like really like simple stuff.
Vaguely.
mm-hmm.
It's like picture books are kind of like baby Star Wars, like that's like kind of like baby, like very simple, oversimplified writing, and it's like this book is not that, but it kind of borders on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it comes very close in just the way that it's worded. And it's like what I said before with the Alan Moore thing. It's like you got to give your audience, no matter the age, like the benefit of the doubt that they understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
this book
huh?
comes very close to being Goodnight Moon. Like I swear, at parts I'm like,
You said it comes close to what?
it comes close to Goodnight Moon. If you don't know what that is, it's a child like it's one of those like picture books, the
Right,
ones like pieces of dialogue.
right. But it's unfortunate. It's like
Yeah,
I don't remember the Elizabeth Hand books too well, but I think that the prose kind of changes. I don't remember, but I think Lance
hopefully.
brings up a really good point. What was that?
I said hopefully the prose changes.
Hopefully, but I think
Yeah,
Lance brought up a pretty good point with Young Jedi Knights. Where it's like I've not read it, but I mean, from the way him and Ken talk about it, it's like Young Jedi Knight strikes like that fine balance where it's like it is young adult or like young reader fiction, but it's not like overly kiddie. And they do like Kevin J. Anderson and his wife, like they at least give their audience the benefit of the doubt to understand what they're talking about.
mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's just like I think the weirdest thing. This is something that I wrote because it stuck out to me when I was reading this. The weirdest thing about this book is when it comes to a description, and it's when describing Mace Windu. It kind of made me laugh, like literally out loud when reading it. But when Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber, they said that emerged a dark-skinned warrior. It was like what? And then when he's on the arena and like he's standing next to Obi-Wan and Anakin, like they describe everyone else. They don't refer to them by their skin color, but it's like Terry Bison just says, and then the Jedi Master, this color of fine wood. He stepped forward. It's like, bro, what fine wood?
Yeah, don't you know that Mace Windu's only personality trait is he's black? Don't you know that, Titus? Don't you know? Don't you know?
He said what?
I was making a joke saying I said, don't you know that his only good personality trait is that he's black? Don't you know
Had to
that?
ask. Had to ask. I mean, it was just weird as like that. That's like because no other character in that whole scene like was ever like described with their skin color. It's just kind of like jarring, but also it's just like out of any book I've read, calling a motherfucker fine wood is like the weirdest way to describe a black person.
Yep.
Very strange.
That was definitely pretty
Uncanny.
weird.
You said it was what?
Uncanny, even.
Yeah. But what did you say, Lance?
Said, yeah, that's pretty weird, dude.
But are we gonna give our thoughts on the story?
Yeah, let's we can move into the content here of the book, the actual narrative. Like I said, the vast majority of the book is actually just kind of a retelling of Attack of the Clones from Boba Fett's perspective, which I kind of found was to be a slog. But there were some interesting parts in it. There's Terry Bison does something kind of cool. She actually she takes Tapoka City and actually makes it into a city. Tapoka City is a city. It's not just a clone factory. It is a city. So she establishes that there's libraries, there's grocery stores, there's there's apartments, it's a city. There's city things there. And the library actually plays a huge role because it establishes Boba Fett as a big and avid reader, which I think is interesting. I've seen people say that that's weird. I don't know how, because Boba Fett is an extremely smart individual. It is completely within his character if he enjoys reading. Um, if anything, it expands upon his character. There's nothing wrong with Boba Fett having a massive intellect. I think it's one of the reasons why he's the greatest bounty hunter was he had an amazing mind. Does he have the mind of a philosopher? No, but I mean he's really smart, and smart people typically like to read, and they're smart because they read. So I don't think that that's bad at all. Um, hmm. um, and like I said, I don't remember a lot of it because again, it's just a retelling Attack of the Clones. But when they got to Geonosis, there's a part where, and I thought this was really cool, where Boba Fett, he was actually the reason why Obi-Wan got captured on Geonosis. This is how they found him out. Well, it's Boba Fett. He, kind of turned him in. I thought that was really, really neat. After the battle, Boba buries his father, which was extremely weird. We'll get into that. It's not that the concept is not weird; it's the way it's done, and given the circumstances, it's weird. A decapitated body. It's just weird. Then there's a scene where Boba, he was given this quote unquote book by his father. It's actually more of like a hollow thing, hollow recorder data pad. He goes to it was basically a message that was a bunch of messages given to him by his father, in case he died. And he was told to go look for Dooku. Bob was like, "Oh well, Jango met Dooku on the moons of Bogdan," so he went there. And the book gets a lot stupider from there. So Boba jumps from one moon to another moon, literally jumps. Stupid. It was really stupid. He eventually gets, backstabbed. Orsing saves him, and then he goes to Rax's Primary, meets up with Dooku. That's how the book ends. What are y'all's thoughts?
Well, Ken, you want to go or?
I think I'll go first.
Okay.
I mostly agree with like what Lance is saying. Like half of the book is just really silly and goofy and has a lot of stupid shit in it. But I think the expanding on Camino and Tipica City is, I think, the part of the book that I like the most, aside from describing Boba Fett as a kid and like it's just good and all, but I know it's a children's book, but kind of figure this would have worked better as like a young Jedi Knights. We could have more dark, like Jango Fett being a bit more like of like not like a father. I mean, he's a father of his son, but being a bit more stern and harsh with him, like raising him for this life of being a bounty hunter. It doesn't work well as being a children's book. But regarding the Camino, yeah, I think like Lance said, it expands upon the city being an actual city and not just the white hallways we see in Attack of the Clones, not just the training facilities. There's the commercial district, there's grocery stores, there's a library, there's a garden. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Let's keep it short. I don't have much to say really because I don't know. I just didn't find the book as not engaging, but didn't find it as stimulating as I thought I would.
Well, I is that all, Ken?
Yeah, I'm done. The floor is yours.
Well, in that case, this will be kind of long. It's just that like I'm very mixed on the book, where it's like I have a fondness for this book because this was, I think, either the first or second young readers like EU book I had read when I was like really getting into the EU, and I don't know, I just thought it was like a nice story back then. But it's like now, kind of going back on it, it's like it's kind of so-so. I don't know. Um, I feel like Terry Bison really was trying hard to make Boba relatable in the sense of like a human child and like what a human child would do in regards to like their family being disobedient, kind of try to figure out their own way. But it's like it doesn't really it I can't say it doesn't fit in within Boba Fett's kid character because we don't really have much of that in the movie. But at the same time, it just kind of feels like a weird way to create relatability. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just that it feels too. I don't even know how to describe it. It just kind of feels like too much like reality in a way. I don't know. Or not like reality because I mean that would be a good thing to mirror reality, but it's like I feel like it tries too hard. That's a better way. But it tries too hard to mirror reality. And I agree a lot with like Lance and Ken had mentioned with Tapoka City, where it's like they drastically expand on what it looks like, what it contains versus the movie, and I kind of feel like we needed that. But unfortunately, we're gonna have a departure from that, and everything we're gonna read forward because everything forward is just kind of like the cloning facilities, and that's it. So, I mean, enjoy while enjoy while it lasts. But I don't know. I feel like I was harsh on this when I finished rereading it, but it's like I do see a through line in the book, kinda, where it's about Boba Fett and loneliness. Where the book begins, um, Boba, Jango always leaves him off like a mission. He doesn't tell him what's happening, and Boba Fett is sad about it. But he doesn't despair because he knows his dad's gonna come back after so many days. Like there's still hope at the end of the line. But once you get to the part of the book where Jango's dead, that hope is gone. I mean, like Boba is all by himself, and that's kind of what the books moving forward are going to explore. Like, how do you cope with loneliness where like, you can't even find hope in it? And I think that's like a nice theme. It's just that like a lot of building blocks to get there and to convey that through line, it's just kind of a bit sloppy. And I feel like if the prose is better, if it took itself a little bit more seriously, it could shape out to be a really good book, really good one. Um, there's something else I was gonna say about it. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't like the thing in Geonosis where it's like the clone trooper, he tackled Boba because a sandstorm had hit, and then Boba, in retaliation, he broke away from the clone's arm because he was mad at it bared the face of Django. Django had just died. But the clone's first reaction to this, like his defiance, is that, well, he's just a kid, leave him behind. And I'm just like, what? Like you're. I mean, maybe it's not in his orders, but it's like it's still kind of like immoral, I guess. It's just immoral to me, like, because this guy's not like really CIS. He's not really Republic, but he's a kid. But your first instinct as a soldier is to leave him behind. I don't know. I just think that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it's kind of, if I
Yeah,
may add.
for sure.
Any other book, like I mean, to use Aliens as an example. So some of the Colonial Marines, when they get Newt, like they go out of their way to make sure like she's safe.
Right.
So it's kind of strange that this clone, even though like it's just strange that he leaves this kid stranded in the middle of a battlefield.
Right. You know, and I agree with that because like it just is really really weird, and I just I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I want to say it's out of character for clones, but I kind of do want to say that. I feel like that I don't think clone troopers, be it Filoni's or the EU's, I don't think any type of clone trooper would like just abandon a child. I just don't think they would do that. But
Especially a clone child, by the way.
I mean,
Don't
literally,
forget
yeah.
that part.
Like that's because to them that's one of their brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for all they knew,
that's
that could
also
have been a
weird.
clone. That could have been a clone child for somehow that snuck on to an acclimator somehow. I don't know how they could have done
Yeah,
that, but
yeah, that's kind of strange that he does
that's
that.
for all they knew. That's for all they knew. That's what that child could have been.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Um, I guess to wrap up my thoughts on it is towards the end. I feel like I feel like ever since like the part where Django died, the book just kind of lost steam. Where it's like the book before, the prose is what held it back. But moving forward past his death, it's like Terry Bison. She didn't really know what to cobble together, so she just kind of had a bunch of dumb stuff happening. Where it's like Lance mentioned, Boba and like a Birdman leap and like kind of soar between like two moons, which that's something that is possible in the lore of Star Wars, but it's like to do it just naturally by jumping, that is ridiculous. I mean, you have Basilisk war droids and transports doing it from Onderon to Duxon for a reason. It's not like Mandalorian's like, for Mandalore, we're going to jump. Like
Yeah,
that'd be ridiculous.
Mandalorians jump into Duxon.
I mean, literally, it's like, oh shit, the Republic have routed us. Retreat, jump
That's a real stupid.
away.
That's a real stupid image. They're all jumping to fight the Jedi on Duxon, just
I
like
mean,
launch bodies into the.
I mean, literally, it's like it's such a silly image, and I don't know. It's like, I guess I don't really have anything else to add. It's like the ending is just kind of like he's on Rax's prime, and that's it. And oh, and I remember now. I remember now what it was. It's the message unit. The message unit, because the message unit. Me and Lance kind of talked about this before the stream or the video. Is that the message unit kind of reminded us of the Bounty Hunter Code, where it's an in-universe book that was given from Django to Boba and many other bounty hunters in the Star Wars galaxy. But it's like you would kind of like think that this message unit would be that, but it's not. It's like the message unit. It has the vague shape of a book. It's not. It's more like an iPad that has Django's face on it, and if you shake it or open it, it'll give you like a daily quote or some shit. It's like an 8 ball. It's literally like a magic bounty hunter 8 ball,
Yeah,
and Boba Fett has to rely on it on his journey of becoming a bounty hunter. I don't know.
it's very strange. Like you'd think it'd be like just the bounty hunter's code book, but no, it's just a weird Django Fett eight ball in the shape of a fucking iPad.
I mean, literally, it's me, son.
Yep.
I'm here to
Hi,
embark on you
son.
some daily Bible verses, son.
I'm gonna
Ready?
do some
Yeah,
philosophy.
yeah. Daily
Today,
Mandalorian Bible verses.
Remember, son. Remember, son. A Mandalorian does not jump to Duxon.
today,
Over,
today,
dude.
today we'll begin with a verse from Genesis. Tune in, Boba.
Yeah, the genesis of the tongs.
I more like
that's all my thoughts on the Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's a pretty. It's yeah. If we were to give it like a rating, I would say like 5 out of 10. 'Cause some of
I,
it was interesting, but there was a lot of slop in there too.
I give it a
So
6,
I
at least a
think the
six.
I think the book is 5.5 severed Django Fett heads out of 10.
Nah. In that
Uh,
case, I'll give it like 7 like a banthas out of I don't know. I mean, like 7 like a panther out of
Like a
Polynesian.
panther.
like a
Like,
panda.
yeah,
Like
I
a
know. It's 7 banthas out of the Polynesian spa.
panther. 7 Boba Fett themes. Dun 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 dun. Out of 10.
but no, sir. I think it's at least like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's decent, you know.
Yeah, it's fine for what it is, but it's certainly not perfect. I think we should go ahead and move on if y'all don't have anything else to add to it.
Yeah,
Do we,
sure.
before we go on, should we bring up the whole corpse thing? Because I know you had mentioned it. It's like,
Oh yeah, that's right. We should talk about
It was
that.
just weird that he was burying his father's his body without a head, and it was just weird. I
it was
mean,
creepy.
Just like
it was
plugging the whole thing
really,
around.
really strange. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do when you're a 10-year-old in the middle of a war zone, I guess.
Well, Bobich didn't seem that bothered at all that he's carrying around his dad's body without a head. I
Yeah,
mean,
he was like nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, we're
yeah.
gonna find you a burial ground, Dad.
Dad, Dad, get him, Dad, get him. Oh wait, no, I can't. You can't get him. You're dead.
It's over.
Looks like we will be seeing.
Yeah,
him again.
but I think for like comedy, the book is great. But in terms of like trying to take it seriously, no.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about the first Star Wars Insider story, Death in the Catacombs. Again, this is from Insider 79. Boring. I think that's a word I can use to describe it. Boring. I don't care about any of the characters. Don't remember their names. I read it maybe an hour ago. At the time of recording this, boring. What do y'all think?
I know some people call hard contact with my pillow. I'm gonna call this I fell asleep in the catacombs.
Yeah, bored in the catacombs.
Bored in the catacombs.
Slumber in the catacombs.
Slumber.
Yeah, man. Like how to go to sleep fast in the catacombs.
I guess I have some thoughts on it. I mean, but it's really not anything like positive about it. It's like,
Yeah, I have a whole
uh,
rant later for like
yeah,
a specific scene.
and Death in the Catacombs.
Yes, I have a little rant for like I'll kind of save it for later.
Okay, but my only real thoughts on it is kind of like at the beginning when Jill Samte, and yes, I remember her name, but I don't remember her name because of the story. I will explain that later. So it's like the beginning where she like tries to rescue the clone that's like trapped underneath the rubble, and the fucker just dies. Like they say, like his chest was depressed, like his whole chest cavity just caved in,
Oh yeah,
and
kind of weird. It describes him as like he's breathing, but then the next scene is like, okay, his whole chest cavity is like wide open or depressed.
yeah,
How the fuck is he breathing if your chest cavity is flat?
he's dead, bro. He's gone.
Medical 101. Hello.
he couldn't. The boulder was too heavy. But
Oh, it's like, oh my god, there's a scene in the Dark Forces where like the guy gets crushed by a fucking boulder. It reminded me of that.
hopefully it's done better than this.
It's done a lot better.
But I was
Well,
gonna
for one, the
mention,
dude actually survives. For one, the dude in Dark Empire or Dark Forces, the dude in Dark Forces actually survives on like this clone who literally gets his like chest cavity imploded.
well, that's good at least. I will say though, the reason I brought up the scene was because in the aftermath of it, the clones in his squad or soon whatever it would be, his squad takes off their helmets and they kind of like pay respects to him upon his death. And I don't know, this stood out to me because these guys are regs. They're not like higher type of clones. This is like something I would maybe see out of like Filoni's show, where it's like a clone, like the death of Heavy. You know, because I think they did like some type of salute when Heavy died, sacrificed himself. But it's like
Yeah.
in EU context, like clones, would not express like this much of an emotion where it's like they're honoring kind of like one of their own. Some would, but it's kind of like the EU's thing where it's like the cloning process is really imperfect. And even though regs are mentally conditioned to be obedient and subservient to orders, they do express emotion across different stories. Sometimes it's an inconsistency, but you could always chalk it up to the ultimate thing of like cloning is not a perfect process. There'll always be cracks in cloning, no matter what rank they are. And that's just kind of like what this situation could be. Um, I would say, not would,
Yep.
will say about the character Jill Sante is that I remember her name because she was in a TCW comic book. Like later on in the timeline, we'll be reading it. It's called the Star Crusher Trap. And I was introduced to her through that, and I was like, oh, I wonder who this is. She kind of looks like Siri Tachi. And then I forgot about her for
Hmm.
years. And then I read this again. I was like, oh, yeah, it's the girl from that comic. Yeah. And so
Yeah, no wonder why she's so boring. Yeah.
it is. But what'd you say, Ken?
Obi-Wan's girlfriend, I think she was.
You think? You said what?
I think Siri Tachi was Obi-Wan's girlfriend. Don't quote me on that. Or like at least like a love interest.
Yeah, they had little feelings for each other.
Yeah, from Jedi Apprentice.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. There,
Yep.
now I remember.
That is the case. But also Siri Tachi cameoed in the Boba Fett book. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But
that is true. I forgot to mention that. I'm gonna mention that there's a part at the end. Well, at the end of like the Attack of the Clones section of the book, where Boba goes back to Kamino to look for that black book thing, and I guess the Jedi, of course, by this point have taken over Kamino, and Boba's like going down the hall, and there's this Jedi woman that goes beside her, and Tanwi says, "Siri."
Oh yeah.
I about like died laughing. Like, oh, Siri Tachi.
Yeah.
I remember her.
Yeah. Siri Tachi, your ex-boyfriend was here a few months ago on Camino.
Yeah.
More like yesterday.
Like his time in Star Wars is irrelevant. Hyperspace takes 2 hours to get to one planet from another. He was literally here yesterday.
But about Definite Catacombs, it's like I don't really have any more thoughts you add on it beyond that. The plot, it's like I don't even remember what's going on. It's like there's a scientist woman that's like inventing, I think, like some new sonic weapon for Geonosians that kind of like that can increase its sonic wave to like annihilate Jedi or something. I don't know. I couldn't follow it. And then
it's kind of weird the way it was explained.
Right.
Oh, like they can block like sonic weapons, but like they just change their frequency and like the Jedi can't block it or some stupid shit like that.
What they already can't block the sonic waves is just like this upgraded one will just like give them no chance at all. Which I don't really get the point of that really, you know. It's like so what is this like it's like a death rating? I don't know.
That's weird electro death ray or something. I guess it's kind of a stretch, but you can like I guess compare it to the Borg. The Borg, like after a certain point, phasers become useless because they can just modulate their shields or something. I guess I don't know. I'm like,
I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? And just kind of ends on a note of like the Pendor, whatever the smuggler guy that was like a xeno archaeologist or so it was some xeno something he had said, but like you know he
Yeah,
died.
freaking Indiana Jones and Han Solo merged.
Like literally, he gets mauled by like a Nexiu. And it's just like the story ends, and then she says like a corny ass line. It's like because she said, "You're different than all the others, Angel," and she's like, "You're different than all the others, Angel." That's a line as corny as that's a line as old as Master Yoda.
The fucking dialogue in this short story was like cringeworthy. I was like, the attempts at flirting, made my skin crawl.
It was the dialogue and the prose. It's like that motherfucker had like 4-word sentences throughout the whole thing. Like there's so many period breaks, or not breaks. It's like there's so many like just period uses in that. It's like there's a day and night difference. I'm not trying to get into illusion too heavily, but illusion. Those are long sentences. This has a bunch of short sentences, and it's really annoying to read that. But
Yeah,
That's kind of
for
my
sure.
thoughts on definite. You said what, Lance?
I just said for sure.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, illusion is a lot more palpable to read because like I just be repeating myself, but it's just like I don't know. This was a very annoying to read. That's kind of why it took so long to read Death in the Catacombs. But that's all my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts, Ken, or your rant?
Oh yeah, the whole Nexus shit, the Jedi like fighting the fucking Nexus. I'm like, how are you not managing to kill this fucking thing? Like, what are you doing? You're sitting there with your thumb jammed so far up your ass. It's like, Jesus, like, come on. This is like High Republic levels of Jedi being fucking weak. Like they get their ass knocked on their ass by fucking Nile. I'm like, what are you doing? The Jedi are supposed to be Olympic supermen, and you're just sitting there getting like it's like getting attacked by a fucking like a wolf, like a wolf puppy. I know Nexu are like vicious creatures, but Attack of the Clones, like the Nexu's fighting Padme, and Padme's not a fucking Jedi. You have this fully trained Jedi Knight who's struggling against a bunch of fucking like a bunch of cubs, and she just can't kill them.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? Some mockery of like the Jedi, in my opinion. It's just stupid. Thought it was really dumb. Could have just had a bunch of Geonosians. Like, come on. Didn't have to have Nexu and then make the Jedi look like incompetent. Just have a bunch of Geonosians, have her cut them up or whatever. Maybe like one of them gets lucky, hurts her or something. But like, you're fighting fucking space wolves, and you can't like. It's described as like she's like the Nexu is like dodging her lightsaber strikes. So I'm like, how you have like superhuman like mental sensory like conditioning. You can like sense where the fucking Nexu is gonna be, where it's gonna jump. Like, how are you not able to fucking like hit this thing? Anyways, the whole fight choreography was just butt cheeks in this fucking short story.
Do you have any story thoughts, Lance?
Not really. I mean, it was just boring and like I know that's not very descriptive, but
It's honest.
it's a very traditional standard Star Wars forgettable story. I mean, well, I don't even want to say that. It's a very forgettable Star Wars story. Just put it like that. I mean, it's
Not typical, but
I
it's
don't know. I
forgettable.
didn't really care for it.
It's
Right.
a story of all time.
Yeah. It's
One
not
of
typical,
the
my bad.
stories.
It's very forgettable.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's better to have an honest take on it than like just sitting there. It's like, oh yeah, definitely Catacombs, really thought provoking. I really liked it. Jill Sante is my top 10 Jedi. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was. I mean,
it
okay. I will
provoked
admit.
some thoughts for sure.
I will admit.
You said you what?
I forgot her name, but already because I don't like the story at all. I don't think it's stupid, but I mean, I will admit she was cute. That's about it.
My Lord.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. It's
No
over for you,
comment.
Ken.
No comment on that one. But Lance, what were you saying about the thing?
I was just saying that it provoked a lot of thoughts, just nothing good. Like I don't want to read this kind of thoughts. So
Funny how
anyway, let's move on to what we're saying, Ken.
I was just gonna say it's funny how I think she's cute, but the whole like weird flirting was just written super poorly, and the dude just comes up like a fucking creep. He's like, hey, Angel, like you barely met this chick, and you're just calling her fucking Angel.
Hey.
Like the first girl like you see at a bar, and you start calling her fucking darling. I'm like, Jesus, fucking hell! Like this is like levels of
darling.
levels of cringe we've reached. Like this is critical levels of cringe right here.
Yep. All right. So the last story. Were you gonna say something, Ken?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Last story is actually pretty good. It was Ellusion by Michael Stackpole, which was in again Star Wars Insider issue 66. Pretty good. It's Stackpole. You can't really go wrong with it. It follows Aayla Secura and a Kamasi Jedi. Which was pretty cool. If you don't remember that species, it was the species from the Hand of Thrawn duology, like the Kamas document.
Yep, the Kamas
the Kamasi, like, Elegos acla from the Dark Tide, that species.
Yep. Corn
was in this,
Rip.
which was pretty cool. Yep. Basically, the mission is Mace Windu has assigned Aayla Secura to go on this mission with this Kamasi Jedi to find this. I don't remember what occupation this person was. Was it a Jedi?
He was
Or
a
like
techno.
he
He was
had
a
some
tech.
sort
He
of
was like a.
prototype.
He was a techno union, like engineer or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
So
about right.
techno unit engineer. I don't remember his name,
It was
but he
Tane.
had plans for prototype
Tane.
weapons and things like that. You said what, Ken?
His name was Tane. I think one of his first name at
There you
least.
go, Tane. Yeah. Anyway, so they go to the Corellia. You know, they encounter apparently the Gotul, which were a species that were in A New Hope in like the Cantina scene. They had like the two horns on their head. They can apparently, using their horns, like detect the Force, sort of. It was strange because, like, well, where else were they at in the Star Wars universe? It seems pretty useful. Anyway, they're allied with the Separatists, and the Kamasi Jedi. I don't remember their name. I don't remember the gender, what they were. And Aayla Secura,
It
they're
was a
like,
male. His name was
go in
like, I
hiding.
think his name was Clinic. I think Clinic.
Yeah, Clinic.
Clinic. Yeah.
So they're looking for this Techno Union dude. They end up encountering the Godul. They meet this Toydarian who leads them to Tane. And oh no, the Toydarian double crossed them, is what we're told. They eventually fight their way out of it. Tane was being held captive by something blue. I don't remember his name. It was a separatist.
Something simpler. I don't remember.
It was a separatist dude.
The face of fat red.
They fight their way out of it.
I think.
Yeah. The title, this is sort of the big twist here. The title, Illusion. This Tane they're looking for. Well, it wasn't Tane, it was Nija Halcyon. And basically that was all a ruse they purposely set up to make the Separatists think that the Republic does not have these prototypes, but they actually do. So Tane was already in Republic custody like months prior. This was just all set up to make it look like that. Oh, the prototypes are out of the Separatist hands. It again, pretty simple story. It's Stackpole, so they're on Corellia. There was Halcyon was in it, and then there was another a Horn character was in it. It was what was his name? It was that Corsac inspector.
Yeah, I forgot his first name.
Rostec Horn, who was Halcyon's wife, Skara, married Halcyon's friend, Rostec Horn. Yeah. I don't understand this. So Halcyon's wife married someone else? I'm confused. Oh, or was this after Halcyon was killed?
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it was after he was killed. So his ex-wife, his widow, his ex-wife Skara married Halcyon's friend Rostec Horn, and then that's how they got the Horn name. Okay. I was confused, like, what? Anyway, so if y'all know who this is, Nija Halcyon, he's Cornhorn's grandfather. I mean, that's who it is. And Rostec Horn is the step-grandfather of Cornhorn. So Cornhorn's grandma had Valen Halcyon, who then had Cornhorn. So, but anyway, it was cool. It was cool to see Nija Halcyon. Really cool character. Of course, I mean, the moment you saw Stackpole writing the book, you knew it was going to have a lot of Stackpole, lore
Back
references,
poisons.
whatever, stuff from his books. So yeah.
It was a good story.
What did you guys think about it?
I thought it was, again, an excellent Stackpole banger. Like, he always writes combat really well in his books. So the fight scene in the bar and in the, I guess, warehouse or the place where they had the battle droids, that was pretty well done. He always does fight scenes really well. And I guess it wouldn't be a Stackpole book without some describing females in a suggestive way. That's like a staple of his novels. And he does that with Ayla Secura, but it also kind of isn't just there for fan service. It like plays into the whole Twi'lek. The Twi'lek race is like I want to say sexualized in the eyes of the galaxy. Like they're dancers, strippers, prostitutes, and whatnot. And Ayla Secura kind of uses that to her advantage, dressing like, I wouldn't say she's not skimpy, but she's like showing skin so like people get distracted while she's trying to make deals and whatnot. So it's interesting to explore that.
Yeah.
That's that's my whole rant.
Well, in that case, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I liked it, but it's like the action scenes they're kind of were taking me out of it. It's like I found some of the action just hard to follow, but like the actual dialogue itself, I would have read like
Yeah.
maybe like a novella or a whole book of like just the dialogue, because I don't know if y'all remember this, but it's at the very beginning. It's when Clinic, the Kamasi Jedi, and Aayla Secura like having like philosophical musings, and he says like pacifism could lead to the dark side, and Aayla Secura is just kind of like, well, how could pacifism, like true pacifism, lead to the dark side? And then he kind of retorts with saying, well, what are the Jedi? We're peacekeepers. We only attack when those are in need and such. And he said, like, so are the Jedi like wrong in doing that or it's not like for the Jedi going to war, are they betraying that, or are they acting to preserve something other than themselves? Because he said that that is true safeguarding, where it's like it is an extension of beyond your philosophy, but it's extending an arm to other people around you. And he said that pacifism, like true pacifism, is where that you have the ability to make a change, but you take that as stance where you do nothing. And because of like you want to preserve your own philosophy more than the lives of other people, that leads to the dark side. That is selfishness. And I really like that because, albeit it's not Clone Wars, that kind of is like the whole crux of the Mandalorian Wars. It's like the Jedi, they wanted to preserve their philosophy, their ideals, so they set out of going to war. Well, Revan and all of his Revanites and whatnot, they took the lead to the Mandalorians. They wanted to protect people, like as a Jedi should. I don't know. I just thought like that was interesting. And like Stackpole, I think Stackpole really gets Jedi just from like that whole musing alone.
Yeah.
And I would have paid to have him write a whole Jedi oriented book like this, because I like that.
Yeah, I think he honestly
Yeah.
would have been able to do a Clone Wars novel really well. I mean, he writes Luke's New Jedi Order great and Dark Tide, so there's that. But the one thing that like I felt was kind of weird was that like he's saying like the whole pacifism thing. It's like, oh, it's evil. I'm like, I wouldn't say it's evil. It's just it's the nature of like beings to be like that.
Well, it's not exactly morally right. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's not
it's
morally right, but I think evil, calling it evil, is a bit of an overreaction. And I think that's just his Jedi philosophy talking through.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle with it, where it's like maybe evil is not the right word, but like to say that it leads to the dark side, I do agree, because that is selfishness.
I
It's
mean,
like
yeah.
you're trying to preserve your own identity over like what you believe over like the galaxy itself. That is selfish.
I get what he's saying there, but I don't know. I don't like when the term evil is thrown around like that. It's like it's just, I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, you don't just that term's like a loaded gun. You don't just throw that around.
Well, maybe not evil, but I think it is wrong.
It is morally wrong, yes. If you have a chance to do something and stop something bad, you should take it. It's like your friend's hurting himself, like, and you have a chance to stop it, and you don't stop it, and he ends up like being fatally hurt. That's on you.
I mean, in a literal sense. I mean, especially like it's more wrong too because he's saying not just because like pacifism, but it's like the ideals of a Jedi is that they supposed to be safeguarders. They're supposed to help others.
Yeah.
But if you value maintaining these ideals over actually acting on them, acting on what you believe, that's a betrayal to yourself, and that's a betrayal to the galaxy. That's selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
I,
mean,
I,
beyond. What's up, Ken?
I think it's an interesting a thing to explore, and I think Stackpole does it well. He explores the morality of the Jedi very well.
I mean, yeah, but that alone, like that's what kind of like opened out the gate of. That was pretty good. I don't really have too many other thoughts to add because, like, I don't know, it's kind of middle of the road of it, and then the whole twist ending. It's like it kind of had no effect on me because it's like I wasn't excited to see Need Your House Down. I'm just gonna like put it out there. It's like I, it was cool, I guess, but I was not like ecstatic to see him. And I was really just kind of reading to see if it expanded on Ayla Secura at all because Ayla is probably like my top 10 favorite Star Wars characters. But it really doesn't build on her, other than the fact like she is kind of insecure about her abilities as a Jedi Knight after Geonosis, and like if something like as terrible as that has happened, she kind of feels like survivor's guilt on her. She's kind of feels she has a heavy burden on her.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kamasi Jedi also says something pretty wise, where it's like you are right to have that burden. You are right to have fear and anxiety because that means in a way you're humble.
Mm-hmm.
That like doubt does not always have to be bad. Doubt kind of keeps you grounded, so you know how to advance from that.
Yeah.
And that's like another thing where like Stackpole, I don't know, like the Stackpole, he seems to understand Jedi psychology. That makes sense. Or like the psychology of these characters, rather. And that's like I'm just kind of disappointed. Like his only contributions to this Clone Wars era were short stories. That's it.
Wish he had gotten a novel, honestly.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's just, but it is a
There was kind
shame,
of a
huh?
sorry.
Hmm?
No,
I was gonna say that,
I finished my sentence.
oh, you finished it? You finished your
Yeah,
sentence?
I was just I was just saying it was just like
Oh.
a shame he didn't get to write anything like you know like a novel or like any like a comic, you know. But go on, Lance.
I was gonna say that I like this. I did like the part where Aayla Secura kind of felt like insecure about going on the mission. She didn't feel qualified. I don't know. Kind of gives her humility. I think it's kind of cool.
Makes her human too.
But
Funny enough. I mean,
yeah,
anybody in that situation, you wouldn't think you're qualified. I mean, you just been through like one of the bloodiest battles of the Clone Wars, and she's being selected for this mission. I mean, I'm sure there's like thousands of other Jedi that are more qualified, but like she's being picked because her comrades trust her, and like she has that just burden on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm. But it also just shows the ramifications of that battle on the Jedi. I mean,
Yeah.
Shatterpoint is kind of about that in itself, but we'll talk about that when we get to Shatterpoint.
yeah. Well, I think is there anything else that you guys would like to add to
Um,
any of the stories?
Hmm. Not for me, no. I think I've
one
gonna
oh
say.
my
Yeah,
bad.
I've said this. I'm good. I've said what I've said. But Titus, you can go say what you're
Oh,
gonna say.
I was just gonna say like the one thing I will add is that the insecurity thing it kind of fits Ayla's character because it's kind of why I wish that we could go back and like read some early issues of Republic because you probably get the most out of Ayla's storyline moving forward in this Clone Wars era if you understand the dynamics between her and Quinlan Voss. But it's like she's very insecure and kind of traumatized with everything that happens to her in the Republic comics, and like Quinlan Voss is like an anchor to her. and to see her like operate on her own is like she's very uncertain for that, but also because like the shit that just happened on Geonosis. I just kind of wanted to add to contextualize why she is so uncertain about the things that she's doing. I mean, she literally fell to the dark side before.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it.
I think that's all. You said what, Titus?
Oh, I was just saying that's it. That's all I had to say.
Got you. Well, that is our review of the next 3 stories in the timeline. The next couple of stories, I know Boba Fett Crossfire is next. Is there any short stories? I don't think so.
No, it's just like readings of them. You said what?
No.
No, it's no
I
short
said I was
stories.
just gonna say no.
Yeah, it's just readings of
Now,
the
if y'all are looking at the
games.
timeline, there are like
Lance.
excerpts for like Galactic.
Yeah.
What's up?
No, I was about to say that. I was like saying like we have readings of like the games, like the excerpts.
Yeah, but we're really not gonna review those. I mean, we'll mention them,
Man,
but
we can
not gonna do
mention
like
them.
reviews.
Yeah, we can mention them at least.
Yeah, but the majority of the next episode will be just Boba Fett Crossfire. I think that's fair. So that's all we've got. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys at the next one. May the force be with y'all.
Peace.
Oh yeah.